It's Monday, the 11th of April, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
All right, Sean, we have 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes, and story number 1 is a big one today. It's one we've known will be coming for some time, but the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has called an election for Saturday, the 21st of May. What's it going to be fought over?
Well, Mr. Morrison made it pretty clear yesterday that the coalition will campaign on the economy, geopolitics and the security of knowing what you get if the Liberal National Government is re-elected. Labor will campaign on social issues, health, childcare, aged care, and push its credentials in manufacturing and around climate change. In a sense, it's a bit of a traditional election campaign. The big difference this time around to 2 years ago is that there isn't a really big difference between the two parties, at least in a financial markets and economic sense. 3 years ago, Bill Shorten took to the election all sorts of tax reform, and it bombed. Of course, Anthony Albanese is more popular than Shorten, and the polls put Labor well in front on a two-party preferred basis. But I think that's what we said last time around. Just quickly, Michael, the markets shouldn't be too affected by this simply because both parties have very similar policies. Also, what's happening overseas and the booming local economy, particularly the employment market, will really dominate investor sentiment.
All right, it's going to be a very busy 6 weeks. Sean, story number 2 today. Brent crude has dropped back below $100 a barrel, which is all well and good, but what we all want to know, really, is what's it mean for us at the petrol bowser?
That's right. Cheaper petrol. In fact, over the weekend, I filled that up at $1.54.9 a litre.
Oh, well done.
I know. Last time I filled up, it was $2.20 a litre. The difference for me with a petrol tank that's 70 litres is about $45. Multiply that by 52 weeks of the year, I fill up about once a week, you get a saving of $2,300. That's because Brent crude has gone from closer to 130 to under 100. Stretch the analysis just a little bit further. At $2.20 petrol prices versus $1.55, that's the same as about having a 2.5% cut in average wages. It's really good news when petrol prices come down for the economy.
Yeah, sure is. Sean, story number 3. We always talk about the Reserve Bank in terms of interest rates, but it has a much bigger role to play in society, including making sure the financial system is stable.
That's right. Twice a year, the Reserve Bank gives its take on what's going on. Now, a few things to come out of the report, which was released late last week. The first is about what will happen if property prices drop. It could trigger a big disruption to the economy and financial markets. There's so much debt out there that falls in asset prices like houses could have a bigger than normal impact. Now, the bank itself modelled on what might happen if the official cash rate jumped 2 percentage points. That means the standard variable rate would go to about 6%. House prices could fall by 15% over 2 years if that happens. Incredible. A few other things very quickly. Global financial systems have functioned pretty well throughout the pandemic, but there are still plenty of challenges ahead. The bank's also concerned that rising inflation and interest rates will make it difficult for some borrowers to meet debt repayments. And finally, the bank warned that the risk of cyber attacks has increased for not just banks, but other financial institutions as well.
Okay, story number 4, Sean, and KPMG, which is one of the big 4 accounting firms, is warning that people may not be able to afford insurance in the future, particularly in disaster-prone areas.
That's right. So think insurers, Suncorp, QBE, IAG, etc. Those guys had a really good 2021, but this year's different. The floods in February will cost the industry around $3 billion and it's still raining in parts of the country. There are likely to be more severe weather events going forward. Some insurers are already charging 10% higher premiums and they're not price gouging. They've just got to stay competitive. What will probably happen is that people will underinsure. So they'll pay the premiums they can afford and accept the insurance that provides. That's not so good though, because if something happens to your car, you end up with a lesser car. It's a pretty hot topic right now.
Yeah, it sure is. Finally, Sean, story number 5 today is one that's actually really quite curious. The physical holdings of base metals in London Metal Exchange warehouses have hit their lowest level in at least 25 years.
Yes, so copper, aluminium, zinc, lead, tin and nickel are all stockpiled, and a decade ago there was about 6 million tonnes in storage in warehouses. Today it's just 500,000 tonnes. The big drop in inventories is explainable. Demand has been really, really strong. What it means is that there's not much spare capacity left, and so prices of the metals could well surge in coming months. Of course, many of those goes into electronics, and you can guess who the final payout will be.
Yeah, you sure can. All right, that's it. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 11th of April, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, if you want something with a bit more detail and you want some interviews and other things like that, you can find Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.